Derek Hough and Hayley just confirmed the detail everyone was waiting for. They've welcomed their first baby, and they revealed both the newborn's sex and name. But the part most people miss isn't the announcement itself. It's how carefully they framed the moment and what it quietly says about the kind of chapter they're entering now. The date, the caption, the choice of photo, even what they didn't over-explain, there's a pattern here that makes this reveal feel different from a typical celebrity update. And in a minute, you'll see why this one post connects to a much longer, more personal timeline they've been building in public step by step. Let's start with the strongest moment. On Monday, December 29th, Derek Hough and Hayley shared that they welcomed their first child together, a daughter named Everly Capri Howe. The announcement landed with a simple, intimate black and white image, their hands gently cupped around their baby's feet. No loud captions, no big stage set, just a close human detail that instantly communicates this is real life now. And then the line that people keep quoting, every step of our lives has led us to you. That sentence is doing a lot of work because it positions the baby's arrival not as a random milestone, but as a destination, like a story that's been moving toward this moment for years. Now here's where the curiosity loop opens. If you look at how they've shared major updates as a couple, they tend to pick visuals that feel calm and symbolic, not dramatic. According to the publicly available posts referenced in entertainment coverage, they first announced they were expecting back in July with a short, cinematic-feeling video. Derek walks toward Hayley. They embrace against a scenic view and she holds up sonogram photos. It's a classic reveal concept, but the tone is noticeably gentle, more private joy than public spectacle. And that creates a question. Why does their sharing style feel so measured compared to what we usually see online? Because the timeline around this pregnancy wasn't just about excitement. It also included honesty about how complex the road can be for many families. Before the birth announcement, Derek also spoke about becoming a father in a talk show interview, describing how the reality of it sometimes hits him in ordinary moments. He said that he'll be doing normal things and then notice Hayley's baby bump, and it reboots his brain like, whoa, I'm gonna be a dad. That's relatable because it's not a perfect speech moment. It's the kind of realization that sneaks up on you. And he also described the first time he felt the baby kick, how it made everything feel vivid and different, like stepping into a version of yourself you haven't met yet. Rehook question. If that's the emotional tone before the baby arrives, what happens when the moment finally becomes real, when the name and date are no longer future tense? You can see the shift right in the birth caption. They didn't just write she's here, they wrote the date, the full name, Everly Capri Hough, and then described their hearts being cracked wide open and their world being forever changed. That's poetic language, but it's also specific. It signals that they're not treating this as content. They're treating it as a life event they happen to share. And the choice of black and white matters, too. In visual storytelling, black and white often removes distractions. No bright colors, no background noise, so your attention lands on shape and meaning. Hands, feet, connection. That's it. Another small detail. They got married in August 2023, and this baby arrives at the end of 2025. In other words, publicly, we've watched them move from couple to married to family, but with a pacing that feels intentional, and that pacing becomes even more meaningful when you include what they shared in October during Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month. In an emotional video posted on their Instagram accounts, they described it as a tribute to a part of our story and used language about honoring a baby that never made it earthside. They also referenced a widely cited statistic that 1 in 4 pregnancies ends in miscarriage, framing it as a silent heartbreak many families experience. It's important to handle that topic responsibly. So here's the key. They didn't share it to generate shock, and they didn't turn it into a spectacle. They framed it as recognition, empathy, and awareness, acknowledging that joy and grief can exist in the same life story. Rehook. So why share that chapter at all, especially when many public figures keep it private? One possible explanation is that they were building a more honest map of what this journey can look like. When a couple shares only the highlight reel, it can unintentionally make other people feel isolated in their own experiences. But when someone says, "This happened and we're still here and we're still moving forward," it can be grounding for viewers who have felt the same things in silence. Based on the wording reported from their post, they emphasized honoring their loss while also looking ahead. There's a rainbow not far behind. That idea of a rainbow isn't about erasing the hard parts. It's about acknowledging that hope can return without rewriting the past. And that brings us back to the birth announcement, because now the audience can see the full arc: celebration, vulnerability, patience, and then a quiet arrival. There's another layer here that fans of Derek often point out. His life has always been built around rhythm, performance, and timing. He's a dancer and a judge, someone trained to read moments, to build tension, to deliver payoff at the right time. And oddly enough, their public updates about pregnancy and family follow a similar principle. They don't flood the timeline. They place a few meaningful posts that let people feel the progression. It's like storytelling by restraint, sharing just enough to be real, not so much that it becomes noise. What does the name Everly Capri tell us? Names can be deeply personal, and we can't assume intent, but we can notice the feel of it. Everly has that modern, soft, timeless sound, almost like ever, suggesting continuity, while Capri evokes something bright and coastal, like a place name with warmth. Whether or not those associations were intentional, the combination reads like a blend of steady and sunny, grounded and dreamy, and it fits the vibe of the posts: tender, cinematic, and hopeful. Now, beyond the headline, the real first week story isn't something the internet gets to own. That's a boundary worth respecting. What we can talk about, responsibly, is the broader context, the way they use their platform to normalize complicated emotions and then return to a simple, joy-centered announcement when the time came. That arc matters because it's not just celebrity news, it's a public example of how people can hold multiple truths at once: excitement and caution, gratitude and remembrance, private life and public sharing. One more thing people sometimes overlook: the announcement didn't ask for attention. It earned it through sincerity. There's no cliffhanger caption, no teasing reveal across 10 slides, no "wait for part 2." It's straightforward: date, name, emotion, and ironically, that kind of clarity is exactly what makes viewers stay, comment, and share, because it feels like you're witnessing something genuine rather than being marketed to. Rehook. So what happens next? For most couples, the after is quieter than the announcement. The public sees a single post. The parents live 1,000 small moments, learning, adjusting, celebrating, and protecting their peace. If Derek continues to speak about fatherhood the way he did in that interview, through small realizations rather than big speeches, then the next chapter could be less about headlines and more about how becoming a parent changes the way you see time, work, and what actually matters. The biggest takeaway from this story isn't just that Derek Hough and Hayley Erbert welcomed a baby girl named Everly Capri Hough. It's how their timeline shows a more complete picture of modern family life: joy shared gently, hard chapters acknowledged respectfully, and milestones marked with meaning instead of noise. And it leaves one interesting question hanging in the air: how will this new season reshape Derek's career rhythm and the way they choose to be public going forward, especially after they've shown they value intention over oversharing? If you want, the next video can break down the full relationship timeline, from early moments to their wedding in 2023 to the pregnancy announcement and the birth. using only publicly available information, with a focus on what their communication style reveals about privacy, boundaries, and storytelling in the social media era. If that sounds useful, watch the next episode on this theme. And if you're following along, you can subscribe for more ad-safe, respectful breakdowns of the biggest entertainment stories told with context instead of hype.